Eastern State Penitentiary has had quite a history since opening its doors in 1829 to prisoner number 1, Charles Williams. The prison was one of the most expensive buildings constructed during its time and became home to such notorious criminals as Slick Willie Sutton and infamous gangster Al Capone. Here to talk more about the history of one of the most notorious prisons in America is Tour Program Supervisor Matt Murphy.
This wing that we're in, this is cell block 7. When was this built?
Cell block 7 is the last of the original 7 cell blocks here at Eastern State Penitentiary. It's completed in 1836.
So the concept of penitentiary started right here. This was the original penitentiary.
Yeah, we consider it the world's first true penitentiary.
Right.
And we use that word sometimes as a synonym for prison or jail today, but it doesn't really mean the same thing it meant when Eastern State first opens its doors. It's a place designed to make people penitent or truly regretful for their crime. It was a humbling gesture to force an inmate to bow when he or she entered or exited their cell.
It's a wild feeling to think that this is home, you know?
Yeah, this was it. Eastern State was the home of a unique system known as the Pennsylvania system. All the inmates that came here in the 1800s, they were cast alone in isolation, 23 hours a day inside of a cell.
Wow. You're looking at the architecture of this place. You know, when you walk into a cathedral or anything like that, you know, they build those high so that your eyes are drawn up.
Haviland wanted the outside of the building to be an intimidating Gothic castle-like facade to deter people from breaking the laws. But in the cell blocks, high barrel arching, there's nearly 1,000 skylights in the whole building, drawing attention up. It's inspiring architecture, and this goes along with the concept of the penitentiary.
Right. I'm so smart. It's hard to get your mind wrapped around stuff that's this old.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Stories and the humanity of the whole deal.
Yeah, I mean, like, over 80,000 people came here as inmates.
I mean, if you were looking at this, if you had a layout of this building, this is kind of like the middle of it and everything radiates out from it.
Exactly, so it's the central rotunda and what's called the radial plan. And then the 7 original cell blocks radiated out from this point. You can see cell block 1 and 2 and 3, all the way through 7. And so this is what makes Eastern State a model for prison architecture all over the world.
Right.
It just made a lot of sense in an age before security cameras and walkie-talkies.
Let's see another cell block.
Sure.
Let's see some more history.
This is a bronze plaque honoring former Eastern State inmates who served in World War I. And they are honored here by their inmate number, not by their name.
Oh, wow.
So it's a great story. These were inmates whose sentence had expired. They were free men, and World War I breaks out, and they feel the patriotic duty to serve.
Sure.
Of course, they have a record, and so they're barred from serving the armed forces, and they appeal to the warden at the time for help. Inmates did 23 hours a day in isolation. Their other hour was spent in 2 30-minute blocks exercising outdoors in a solitary exercise yard. This is what kept inmates happy and healthy. But if an inmate's happy-ish, that was the thought process. So an inmate probably did what they pleased, probably walked around.
And probably tried to climb. And
we have several records of inmates trying to scramble over the walls.
Right.
Of course, and they have a 30-foot wall to get by and probably some guards waiting for them.
It wouldn't have been an easy deal.
I want to talk about this new exhibit we have here. This is called the Big Graph because it's a
big graph.
It's a big graph. Yeah. It's a 16-foot high, 3-dimensional bar graph that breaks down the increased rate of incarceration in the United States of America. So it starts in 1900, goes all the way up to 2010. 1970 is red behind you because that's the Eastern State closed as a state facility. 2010 is the last year we have data compiled for. So in this 40-year period between 70 and 2010, the United States has seen a 600% increase in the rate of incarceration. That's the highest rate of incarceration anywhere on planet Earth.
Right.
The highest rate of incarceration achieved in human history.
Right.
And that's what some people are calling mass incarceration.
You ever been to prison?
I have not been to prison.
I spent a night in jail.
Yeah?
I don't want to go to prison.
Is that, can we talk about that? And this compares us to, I don't know, about 100 nations all over the globe.
We need to figure out what India's doing right. These rooms, were these cells set up differently? Or were basically the same size? Or?
Cell block 3 is the 3rd cell block, so that makes it one of the oldest cell blocks here. And it's designed for confinement to be a cell block like all the others. But by 1907, cell block 3 ends up being Eastern State's official hospital block.
Wow. Wow. I don't even think you need to wash your hands to do surgery in here. How did the walls become like this in such disarray? I mean, just time and age, or was something done to them?
Exactly. So you see a lot of the layers of history going all the way from the 1830s, probably to the 1950s and 60s
Right.
of the sterile tile here. Mother Nature does this. The prison is 142 years old when it's closed in 1971, and then 20 years of abandonment follow. There are trees that grow through the walls and do a lot of damage to the masonry. We've put a lot of time and effort into stabilizing the building. Our philosophy is we're a stabilized ruin. We're gonna freeze the building in time. We're not gonna really make it look the way it used to look. We're gonna make it safe and
Right.
viewable for visitors.
Right.
This is all possible because of our huge annual haunted house fundraiser. It's called Terror Behind the Walls.
I can only imagine how good a haunted house would be.
It's big, it's bad, it's scary. You can feel good about getting spooked because all the money goes back into conservation of the building.
Mirrors.
Mirrors.
There are mirrors in here.
Another one of Eastern State's weird quirks.
Right.
These mirrors acted as like early security cameras. And when aligned properly, they reflect the image of cell blocks 8 and 9 to the guard standing in center, maintaining that centralized surveillance.
So when did they install the mirrors?
1877,
1877.
along with the new cell blocks. So it really captivates visitors' imagination. It's very cool.
Yeah.
Stay with us. When we come back from the break, we'll learn more about some of the infamous prisoners that called Eastern State Penitentiary home, and the story of how a few of them were able to pull off a great escape.